Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, King Damo and Sammy Drip Drip proudly present the Figure Forecast Season 3.
Let's roll the intro and let's get straight into this. We've been away a little while. We released a video at Christmas, but going to hopefully try and get back into the grind for a new year, new season of the podcast.
Yep.
It also means the road to WrestleMania.
Yep.
We're approaching the Royal Rumble 2 nights away, 3 nights away.
3 nights away, yeah, it's close.
At the time of recording, time of listening, it might have already happened, but we're going to try and we're going to talk about kind of the build for this, because the Rumble's always a good show, and obviously with this one being Triple H led, we're expecting good things, especially after last year.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. I'm really in the mood for a Rumble after last year's catastrophic show. It was just, I think there's probably a couple of good matches, but what you remember from the Royal Rumble is the matches, obviously the Royal Rumble matches. Yeah. And there was such a disappointment. Yeah. Leaves a bad taste in the mouth.
I'd say if it wasn't the Royal Rumble, it wouldn't have been a bad show. But yeah, there's expectations you get from it being a Royal Rumble. It's kind of a newer expectation. Some of the older ones don't fall into this category, but you expect some debuts, some returns, some noise, basically. Yeah. And we didn't really get it last year. No. They announced most of the competitors.
There was that, and I think because both of the winners, Lesnar and Rousey, were so similar in terms of their profile of performer, both not 100% full-time, both got that MMA background and a destroyer type character. It's kind of like, okay, it's a bit of a letdown almost.
Yeah. Especially for us in the UK, we've got to stay up until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And without that excitement, it can really start to drag. So, fingers crossed, this year, there is some surprises. I've seen some rumours.
I've seen some rumours too.
So, we'll get to that, I think, in a little bit.
Delve into them, yeah.
But one that isn't a rumour that has been confirmed, Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Confirmed to be back. A lot of people online were pretty surprised that WWE announced this. I'm not surprised really, because it felt so certain he was returning at the Rumble that I think it ceased to be a surprise. A lot of people comparing it to John Cena returning in 2008, I think it was. Maybe 2009, I'm not sure on the years there. But the difference with that is Cena returned super early from his recovery. It was really unexpected. We've been expecting Cody Rhodes to return at the Royal Rumble pretty much since he got injured. Yeah. So I think they've done the best and been like, tune in and see him. He's going to be at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Cash in on the popularity rather than the potential.
100%. Yeah. I think they've definitely done it in the right way. Because like you say, John Cena was completely unexpected. It was a different time. He didn't have social media and all that sort of jazz back then. But yeah, this year Cody was 100%. Everyone was like, yeah, if he's ever going to come back, the Rumble's when you bring him back. And if he did come back as a complete surprise entrant, you'd probably think, right, he's nailed on to win that. Now that he's come back as a named entrant, you think, okay, he's probably favourite. I'd probably say he's favourite. But if someone else was to win it now, that's a massive surprise. And that puts all of that, all of the thing that comes with winning the Rumble onto them.
I don't think they're as clear cut this year as they have sometimes been in the past.
I think you've got a couple of favourites, but I don't think there's a 100% nailed on winner. No. We'll probably get into that a bit later.
Before we really jump into this year's Royal Rumble, we've talked about surprises being a key part of a Royal Rumble. What do you think makes a good Royal Rumble? Whether that's a match or the pay-per-view as a whole, what do you think really kind of cement as a good show? It's a complete unique thing, isn't it? Obviously, there's Battle Royals, but the whole pay-per-view is built around this match. It happens once a year, and it's up there, isn't it? It's probably my favourite pay-per-view of the year, just because it's so fun. Yeah. There's quite a few elements that go into it that I enjoy. Obviously, the surprise entrance. It's that anticipation of thinking, oh, who's it going to be? And then you get Rey Mysterio in at 30, and you end up booing him because it's not Daniel Bryan. But yeah, the anticipation of who it could be, the spots you get in there with like Kofi and things like that. There was the Mandy Rose and Otis spot from a few years ago.
We're not going to get that this year.
Or what if we did, but it was with Otis and Chad Gable?
No, that would be good. That would be good. Chad Gable to win for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's the perfect blend of high stakes and a lot of drama. Like it's normally an hour. Now there's 2 of them. You've got 2 hours of kind of you've got all the drama of people getting eliminated because sometimes you get a favourite eliminated early. Most of the people that are at the top level in their division, whether it be the men or the women, are going to be in Rumble. Outside of the champions, they're normally not in. You get all of the top contenders for those belts in there. So all but one of them obviously has to get eliminated. You get all those drama spots. You get to play the guessing game of who's going to be next. Like you say about surprises, but even some of like the more minor ones, like when you get to the final 4 and you kind of see someone you're not expected to still be there. I mean, last year was Shane McMahon, which it was a bad Rumble, but the fact it was like, what's Shane McMahon doing in the final 4? Like,
was it Santino when it was him and maybe it was Del Rio, I think him and Del Rio as the last 2. Everyone's behind Santino to win.
I mean, WWE made the right call in Santino not winning, but
imagine if he did.
That was a great spot.
It just leaves you with that what if, which is what you're looking for in wrestling. You obviously know it's predetermined, but you're like, what if he could win? That's what it leads you to. That's why it's great. It's just not overplayed, is it? Like so many of the matches you see every single week almost. Even things like the ladder match are so used now that you've seen some of the spots before and you think, okay, that's cool, but I've seen similar before.
I think that's what's really good about Kofi is that he does the escape and elimination spot, but each year it's something different.
Well, his failed last year, didn't it? Which I think probably just compounded that event into failure.
Yeah, I mean, what he attempted to do, if anyone's listening who doesn't remember it from last year, he tried to jump from the rope to the barricade and kind of catch himself, and just wasn't quite able to hold his momentum enough, and his feet touched the floor. But it was still impressive in the attempt, I think, even that he did fail it.
Yeah.
I think sometimes failure in wrestling is like everyone was, it's a botch, it was terrible, but sometimes those little failures can just make it feel more real.
Maybe it'll make it even more spectacular this year if he does pull it off.
Like
failed last year.
Kofi wasn't going to win the Rumble last year, but him trying his hardest to avoid elimination, but just slightly, I think that was like a better moment, sort of. Like him doing it would have been great, but I liked that it added a little bit of realism.
Yeah, I understand that.
As long as no one's getting hurt from a botch, I think sometimes you've got to roll with it. And I think last year worked quite well.
Yeah.
Hopefully he does something impressive this year. I'm not sure what he's got left. He's done
I wonder if he's going to go for the same
thing
as last year.
That could be a story in of itself.
I wonder if he is, but if he fails again.
Yeah, he's been practicing all year. He's been trying to jump from from the ropes to the barricade. So I had a look earlier. There's only 5 matches on the card this year. You've got 2 Rumbles. You've got the women's match. You've got the women's title match. You've got the Kevin Owens Roman Reigns match, and there is one other, and it is blanked. Give me one little moment.
I'm gonna try and think of it off the top of my head. What other rivalries do we have? It's not a tag team title match, is there? US title? No, it wouldn't be that. I don't know. Cut this bit out.
Of course, Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight, the pitch black match.
The Mountain Dew pitch black.
Yeah. Now I know you're not a big fan of Bray Wyatt. You don't really like the spooky bullshit, whatever you want to call it, that WWE do. But I do want to talk a little bit about the build to this, because the whole Bray Wyatt thing was obviously the forefront of this story. But I think what's it's definitely taken me by surprise more is how good LA Knight is looking in this.
Yeah. To be honest, it doesn't really surprise me that much in terms of LA Knight is just so good on the mic.
It surprised me because this is Bray's return story, but LA Knight looks phenomenal in it.
Yeah. Well, he's going to lose. He is going to lose, but he's going to come out better from the feud.
Yeah.
His work on the mic is, I want to say, buried Bray Wyatt almost, but you're right. He's the star coming out of this feud, and that's definitely not what they intended. No. But it was a weird pairing going into it though because of that.
I don't think it's necessarily bad for Bray Wyatt. Because I think his character is going to be a long story. Yeah. It's going to be one of the WWE historically have done long-term booking terribly, but I think Triple H is trying to tell this over time.
Yeah.
Hopefully he gets the time, so we'll talk about that later on. But the whole thing with Uncle Howdy, and maybe there's two Uncle Howdys, and now they've reintroduced the Firefly Funhouse, and they're teasing all of this past for Bray Wyatt. I think that long-running story needs the time, but LA Knight is really...
And it's branching over to Alexa Bliss now as well, obviously, so I suppose if there's anything, that is the interesting part coming out of it. I read earlier in the week that there might be plans to do Bray Wyatt versus Uncle Howdy at WrestleMania, which I don't know how they'd do that.
Well, Uncle Howdy is meant to be Bo Dallas.
Yeah.
But he's also rumoured to be, I can't remember his name now, but there's a guy that was big on the indies that WWE is signed or might have signed, but it's also rumoured that he might be involved in this. That there might be two Uncle Howdys, and whether there's actually two or just two people portraying the character, and it's intriguing. Whether you're into the spookiness or not, it's intriguing that they're trying to tell a complicated story, and you've got to give them props for at least trying it.
It is complicated. Sometimes it seems like it's too complicated for their own good, in terms of I'm not sure where they're going with it. I'm not sure whether they know where they're going with it. Because it seems like sometimes they're going down one path and then they sort of go down another one in a way. But look, I think I've said it before. The Bray Wyatt stuff's all well and good, supernatural powers, until he gets into the ring and he's getting people in a headlock. You're like, why are you doing a headlock if you can just make someone's head explode?
Well, that's what I think I like this version. He doesn't have supernatural powers. He's just involved in this kind of strange story. It's
definitely the most invested I've been in a Bray Wyatt character in terms of intrigue.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say.
I was really invested when they were doing all the stuff with Randy Orton, because
the box-like structure just let it all down, didn't it?
Well, it was because they had so much more freedom, not being in front of a live crowd. They could do editing stuff and all that. I was just having fun with what they were doing with it. Like, it was...
Didn't set lights start dropping from the ceiling and stuff on Randy Orton's head?
It was just like the right opportunity. Like they had this terrible situation during the pandemic, and they were just throwing stuff to see what stuck. I was enjoying it. It payoff was terrible, but
it's going to be interesting to see what this match format is, because people have said it's going to be like a lights out match that AEW had, but I don't know if it will be.
Yeah,
so surely it can't just be a no holds barred match effectively.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Shenanigans are probably going to ensue.
I have a feeling it might be partially cinematic.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way you get something out of that.
Either way, no matter what happens, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, which I think is the best WWE can hope for.
Let's just hope it's not car crash TV like it usually is.
You mentioned Alexa Bliss there, so let's just talk quickly about that storyline. It's been ongoing for technically quite a while, because they were paired up as a trio to fight Damage Control.
We saw that at Clash at the Castle.
And
live.
They slowly dissolved that trio, and now with Alexa Bliss has kind of been haunted by the images of Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy, and has now turned on Bianca Belair. I'm not really invested in the feud so much. I think the story around Alexa is one thing, and then it's just they're tagging this on sort of thing. But it does all fit and make sense, so that's a positive.
Yeah. The sensible part of my brain says, well, Bianca retains in this one. But then I started thinking, like, well, her reign is seeming like it's a little bit stale to me. And if they're going to further this Alexa Bliss character, does she need the title? I don't know.
It kind of depends who WWE have winning the Rumble. I think Bianca's probably likely to retain. I think this is a little bit of a filler story to get her to the Rumble, and then you can build the WrestleMania story afterwards. I don't think it's bad on either of them.
No.
Just kind of the situation that timing has fallen in. And I think they're going to put on a really good match.
I think you're probably right, I think you're probably right. Obviously, one of the biggest stories coming into the Royal Rumble and into WrestleMania season.
I think it's the biggest story in wrestling at the moment.
It is, yeah. The biggest and the best. It's the Bloodline story.
Yeah.
Thoughts on this week, or the last few weeks in general, as we haven't caught up on it?
So, the whole, we've mentioned it before, the whole Sami Zayn being added to it, injected fresh blood into a storyline that was not getting stale, but it was kind of, it didn't have anything new to give, and it was like, where is this going? We've obviously felt for a while that The Rock was on the horizon, but it always felt too far away. They needed something, and Sami Zayn has given it everything he's got. and he's made this work so well. Obviously, building up to the trial of Sami Zayn on Raw 30.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Ultimately making the best, and truly the best, out of a bit of a bad situation. They wanted this acknowledgement ceremony. No other members of Roman's family could attend for various reasons. It was just going to be the regular bloodline. That's not must-see TV. All right, let's add something new. The trial of Sami Zayn. They've been teasing little things with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens for weeks, and this was just perfect for WWE. It had so much drama, and the acting was actually good for wrestling.
It was awesome. It was a last-minute decision, wasn't it, to switch to that? And think of all the last-minute segments that WWE have had, and they've been dreadful.
I think it was over the weekend.
Yeah.
Well, no, because did they announce it on SmackDown?
I think they still had it as the Bloodline.
Yeah, I think it got
coronation, or whatever it was.
I think it got announced over the weekend.
Yeah.
That it changed.
Yeah.
And they threw together this incredibly quickly, including video packages and all stuff like that. And
it was amazing.
It was a perfect storm.
The bit where Solo was gonna Simone Spike him, and then Jay stopped him, I actually gasped. I was so invested. I was like, no! I was so invested. I think it's probably the best segment I've ever seen on WWE.
Sami Zayn's entire, you know what, if you believe all of this, I'm not even going to try and defend myself, I think was just great character work.
It's just perfect, isn't it? The fact that Jay was the one to save him after Jay not accepting him for so long. You just couldn't write any better, and it's amazing. It's the most captivating thing WWE have done.
Yeah, and then they obviously
decades
followed it up with the Raw Tag Team Championship match.
Oh my god, yeah.
With the injury, Sami Zayn being swapped in and then getting the win, which again, it's just such. It sounds so simple, but WWE under Vince did so much stuff that just was completely illogical and for so long that just it's not taken a whole lot to get to here. It's just been some long-term story and some logical progression of a story.
It's just not even worth thinking about where this story would be if Vince was in creative control with it. It's terrible. I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
Obviously, Roman said, I don't want to see you until the Rumble, where you've got your final challenge, essentially, to prove your loyalty. What are your thoughts on what that's going to be?
I think all of the Bloodline minus Roman are going to be in the Rumble. But I think Sami Zayn's thing is there's going to be something with Kevin in the Kevin Owens match, and then something in the Rumble.
I think you're right.
And I can see a moment of Sami Zayn looking strong in the Rumble and Roman asking him to eliminate himself. Something like having to make a sacrifice for the bloodline sort of thing.
See, that's what I thought, right? And I think that's probably the most likely. But then my mind gets carried away. And I think, well, in the last couple of weeks, reports have come out that WWE are really disappointed that The Rock can't make Mania.
I'm not convinced.
No, yeah. See, now that's typical wrestling, isn't it? Sending people off the trail. So I'm thinking, maybe Roman knows, he's heard through the family grapevine, if you like, the family bloodline, that The Rock's going to be in the Rumble. And Sami's saying his task is to eliminate The Rock, to make sure that he doesn't face Roman at Mania. Something along those lines.
I had a fantasy booking with the Rock. I don't know if it would be good. It's just I could kind of see pieces falling into place in my head. You've got a situation where you get to the final. It's the end of the Rumble. You've got the Bloodline minus Roman still in the match. You've got 2 or 3 other wrestlers. They're down. The Bloodline has been beating people up. They've been dominating, throwing people out. And Roman's out, trying to direct people and be like, "We're gonna win it, and then I won't have to defend the title." And that's when you have the Rock enter at 30.
It's got to be 30.
And eliminate the Bloodline.
It's just him and Sami last 2.
That's what
I had in my head.
And Sami Zayn's kind of got to make the choice of whether he tries to eliminate The Rock and go off to face Rock. And you could have the decision there. I don't think that's what they're going to do, but I can see that it lines up and you could do something so well.
I guess the issue you've got there is, does that make The Rock get booed?
Yeah, better writers than me can can do that. But I can see...
It gets me excited thinking about what it's going to be. The
Well,
story's insane.
The story about The Rock not being there came out like, he doesn't think he can get ready. This has been planned for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Also...
What bullshit is that? The Rock won't be in shape.
The Rock can't get in shape in 3 months. He's already in shape.
I know. Then what sort of bullshit is that? That's the biggest load of shit I've ever heard.
Unless, of course, like all of his social media posts have been from months ago. He's just been like eating ice cream for 6 months.
He's like fat Thor at the minute.
The Rock is in tremendous shape. He's somehow in the best shape
The most obvious thing anyone's ever
he's
said.
ever been in. Like, you see his movies like Black Adam,
Mhm.
like he's in tremendous shape. So I don't believe that as an excuse, because even if he's like, oh, I don't know if I've got the energy to do like a 20-minute match. Well, just don't do a 20-minute match.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be 20 minutes.
So
just that visual of Roman across the ring from The Rock in the WrestleMania main event.
Then you've got all the theming for Royal Rumble. I know it's in Texas, so that it makes sense where they've got a bull skull, but at the same time, that is a Rock image.
Yeah.
They've thrown lightning on everything, which is also something associated with The Rock. The Rock's got new merch.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Yeah.
They've been
Well, they
uploading
have
loads of
rumored-
Rock stuff to YouTube.
Yeah.
So, like,
The other rumours was Stone Cold, wasn't it? That they've offered him a load of money to do the Roman match. It would be equally as good for different reasons. Have you seen the artwork for Elimination Chamber that was leaked
it's got Sami Zayn
against the
Against the
chains?
chains,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
I don't know what they're going to do for Elimination Chamber. I really don't.
The first thought I had, I don't know how you do it, is Sammy versus the Bloodline.
I mean, there is 6.
It's Sammy, and then each other pod, it's the Bloodline. Like, or the Bloodline and Kevin Owens or something like that.
I mean, that could be incredible. I don't know how you book that as a match.
I don't know how you get to that stage or what the scenario is, if that's a test for him or what.
On the old WWE video games, I don't know if they still have it, but you used to be able to do 3v3 Elimination Chamber like team matches.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the video games version of War Games.
Yeah, similar to War Games. Yeah.
But you could do something like Sammy's got to get through the bloodline,
It's just, to me,
or Roman's got to get through the bloodline, or somebody. It could be somebody else.
Yeah, it's just, to my mind, the artwork of him pressed against the cage, trapped, suggested to me that's him.
Yeah.
In a situation that he doesn't want to be in, you know.
We'll see as we build up.
And it's in Montreal.
Screwjob territory.
He's Canadian, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh God, it gets me excited. I am erect.
We've mentioned the road to WrestleMania. Are you excited for the?
Yes, I'm excited.
The big event.
I'm excited. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit of predictions, shall we?
Well, we're gonna release something separate for predictions. We're going to try and keep episodes a little bit shorter this year, make them a little bit more palatable and easier to kind of listen to rather than talking for an entire hour. So I think we'll wrap up on our Royal Rumble preview, but we will do predictions, so stay tuned on social media and on Spotify, wherever you're listening, because we will have predictions, reactions to the Royal Rumble, and much more coming over the next few weeks and months into WrestleMania. But I do think that's where we should leave this one for now. Thank you very much for listening. Remember, you can follow us on social media. We're on Twitter at Figure4UK, on Facebook at The Figure Forecast, and on YouTube at The Figure Forecast. Hopefully we'll have more video content in the future as well.